Waiting for the checks to come across the screen.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hey everybody. Y'all better tune in. All I see 0 viewers. Tune in, tune in. We're not starting it until you hit the share button anyway. Tag your friend, tag your bestie, tag your girlfriend, tag your mother and your sister and your brother because we're ready to start talking. Come on. Come on. Come on. We waiting. I'm waiting. We're not talking about nothing until we get 15 views on this live tonight. At least 15. We ain't talking about nothing. I don't want to hear nobody. Y'all better not say nothing. We on a whole live strike. 15. Come on. Y'all better tag your girlfriends, to tag your friends. Tag them. Let us know.
Oh shit.
But I do see that this
All right,
thing
I got two. So come on.
I do see that this thing is on. I do see that this thing is on. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. We are here in live. Rain Outreach Team is coming at you live. How you doing? How you doing? Y'all still better be tagging your girlfriends though. But how you doing? Oh my gosh.
Come on, tag your girlfriend.
Hi everybody. Happy Thursday.
It's almost Friday, Chad.
Almost Friday. I'm very excited. All right.
So before we topic today, I just want to give y'all some rain updates. I don't even know if I want to give these updates yet. Truth be told, quiet is kept. But June 27th is National Testing Day. Before we start advertising things that we're going to be doing, I want to make sure that those events are still on because of COVID-19. That has came and wrecked house and shook up the table. But I do want to still remind everybody that June 27th is National Testing Day. So hopefully you will going out and get tested or you know your status. If not, you can definitely hit one of us up and inquire about getting tested. Those are the updates that I have today. I do have an interesting video to play later. Just a little cute little testing video that we have. So I definitely wanted to show that out and get that out to the peoples. So without further ado, I'm going to let my fabulous panel introduce themselves. And we're going to start off with Bryce.
Hey, everybody. Bryce Curry. I'm Peer Attention Specialist at RAIN. What I do is that I find people who've been out of care for 6 months longer, and I get them re-engaged in care. Also, if you're newly diagnosed, I get you into care within 2 to 3 weeks of your diagnosis. I case manage you for a year, and my goal is to help you navigate your care and keep you obtaining care and provide you with any services that you may need to help you stay into care. So if you need my services, please call the number down below.
All right.
All right,
Next
Sean.
we have Miss Mother.
So much shade. Hi, everybody. My name is Patrice. I am the prep case manager here at RAIN. And what I do is I assist people in getting enrolled in prep, whether it be for no copay or absolutely free. I also go out into the community and talk about different types of healthy sexual behavior, the danger of STIs and sexual misconduct. So if you ever know anybody that wants prep or needs somebody to come in and talk to them about healthy sexual behavior, please feel free to give me a call.
At the number below.
Yes, at the number below.
Oh, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Sean once again.
I made that mistake.
Specialist.
Sean, it's me. It ain't y'all. I pressed the wrong button, and there we go. Patrice.
Here you go, Sean. I'm sorry, love. Go ahead.
Oh,
I was looking at the other screen. I'm sorry. I'm Sean, y'all. I'm the peer outreach specialist here with Rain and with Crew. I specialize in harm reduction as it relates to substance use. So if you know anyone that is dealing with addiction or substance use, period, whether that be marijuana, cocaine, any type of drug, alcohol, anything of that sort, and they're struggling with it, please refer them to me. The number is below. And also, I have an email that I will provide for you later. I'm also out in the community educating and advocating about healthy, safe sex practices. And y'all already know at the end of the video, I'm going to tell y'all I got condoms.
All right. And Johnny Wilson.
Hello, everybody. My name is J to the O to the H to the N to N O Y, Johnny Wilson, and I'm here coming at you live. I'm here coming at you live with the outreach team here at Rain. Pretty much, I wear a lot of different hats at Rain, and I'm just here. I am back. The bitch is back and ready to start to talk.
Not the bitch is bad.
You heard it.
No, but
you heard it here first.
I'm just happy to come back and be able to be part of the conversation. So
yes, HBIC.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. You know it's gonna be always an interesting conversation. And so Sean, this was your week, so why don't you talk about what we're gonna talk about today?
I decided to bring up the conversation about mental health. As it relates to the Black community right now and why it's so hard for people to break the stigma of thinking that you're crazy if you seek help or need help when it comes to mental health. I myself I deal with a lot of this, so I wanted to talk about it and get other people's opinions and kind of just see what other mental processes people may have towards certain situations and just to kind of get a feel of it. I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion about this. It's always something I kind of like talking about, just seeing how the brain works and how people handle certain situations and things of that sort. So I don't know if it's going to just, am I supposed to just read a question off the thing or you want me to just start talking or how you want me to do it?
We could do the first question.
Okay.
The Black community suffers from an increased rate of mental health concerns, including anxiety and depression. Why do you think that is?
I think our anxiety is triggered from living in a society that's racist towards us. You know, personally, I have anxiety about being pulled over, being arrested. I have anxiety about just being looked as a person that's a threat and not just as a regular person walking down the street. And also experience from our own neighborhoods. You know, 1 out of every 3 Black men will experience anxiety from growing up in their neighborhoods. That anxiety could come from witnessing domestic violence or seeing violence in their own neighborhood, which could relate to crime or gang-related violence and things like that. So I definitely can understand where the anxiety in our community comes from. It's like we're having triggers for being Black, but then within our own community, we created our own triggers by the trauma that we are sharing and experiencing throughout our lives.
I was going to piggyback off of you, Bryce, and kind of use the whole trauma thing. I think a lot of times, whether it be a small trauma or be a big trauma, I think a lot of times people don't dissect that situation enough to realize that things happen so long ago to where we still hold captive to today as adults, or as we grow older, we still have certain things that trigger us that came from the past. That may put you in your feelings and may make you have anxiety or whatever the case may be, or maybe depressed about it. You go ahead, Johnny. I didn't know you was trying to say something.
He was waving at people.
To Regina.
So yeah.
Hey, Regina.
But I
don't see you.
Sean, would you finish? I apologize.
No, you can go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I definitely understand what Bryce is saying, but I think that also, as I sit and listen to what he was saying, I also went back to my childhood, and before I knew what police before I knew what police brutality was, before I knew what race was, the difference between black and white and things like that, I felt like I had a lot of anxieties that came from my parents, or came from being a disappointment to them, came from being a failure to them, or just being a failure, period. I think that at a very early age, taught to, first off, what goes on in the house stays in the house. Not to kind of venture out and talk about your feelings, talk about your anxiety that you are experiencing.
Or
Especially
problems
as a
that you may
man,
have.
as a female, I can't speak on that. Right. The problems that you may have or things like that. That wasn't something that, we were, I'm sorry, that I was able to kind of do freely and comfortable with doing, just because of how, little black boys were supposed to act, or little black boys were supposed to, shrug it off your shoulder and not feel, not cry. This ain't supposed to be, you're not supposed to be worried about this. That anxiety, I think, kind of shaped um how my life kind of went, because I was afraid to talk about those things, because I was taught that was, I shouldn't. That was a no. You a punk for doing that. So I think that those early anxieties were taught too. Um, and of course, I do believe that, our parents also, or my parents also, there was a undertone of racism that existed there, that they was trying to teach early on. But I think before I knew what all of that stuff was, those were my early memories of anxiety and mental health, and wanting to talk to somebody to express things, and just wasn't able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, mine is a little different. I even growing up in a rural area that was very a lot of racial divides. I did not have so much as the anxiety of being a black kid, although I was very aware of race. I didn't have the anxiety of being a black kid so much as the anxiety of being a smart black kid. Being a kid that is looked at as intelligent or nerdy, especially within the black community, and being a female, there's a lot of different compounded things that for me may have created anxiety that I did not address until I was an adult. And a lot of that came from wanting to be stronger than the issues, or thinking that I was smart enough. If I'm so smart, then I'm smart enough to figure out how to fix it. And I don't need anybody else to do it. I can do it myself. So that I can get. I can get the different things.
Right.
So
Do you guys can you guys pinpoint what's triggered your anxiety, or what started the anxiety from you as from your younger ages to now?
No.
I can. Me personally, for me, this is me being very transparent about a lot of things when it comes to my personal life. But for me, to answer your question, Bryce, I think a lot of things that trigger my anxiety or my depression is the fact of me being alone. I've had my family tell me they weren't going to leave. I've had relationships tell me, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I have friends that I'm going to be your best friend to the end. I've had jobs where, you kind of thought you was going to be for the job forever. So it's a lot of situations to where you always, well, for me, I always felt like nobody is really consistent with staying. And I always felt like I've been by myself, even in a room full of people. I've always felt like I'm by myself because I've always tried to get people that really understand me when it comes to my mental thought and how I think. And it's not how everybody else thinks. I'm a little more emotional. I'm a little bit more sensitive. I'm a little bit more intact with my feelings. And it's because of what I've been through and what I was around growing up. I was around a lot of women. I didn't really have a father. I don't know who my dad is. I didn't have a father figure. I didn't have any men in the house or any masculinity really to kind of put me out there and kind of have me, doing manly things to kind of have that whole experience. Except when I did move with my aunt, I did have that, and I started adapting to that because I had this. I called him my stepdad, but he really was my uncle. I called him my stepdad though, but he gave me the opportunity to go, work on cars and to go outside and do yard work and everything like that. And I kind of didn't feel alone when I was with him. But when all that disappeared with me being in foster care and group homes and stuff, again, that whole feeling alone part triggered again, and it's been sticking with me throughout till today. Even now, I still kind of feel like, I still have trigger points where I feel like I'm still by myself and I'm still alone, even when, when I'm around people. So,
yeah, my anxiety definitely. It's funny that you said you brought up the male figure situation, because my anxiety definitely started with my stepfather. He would critique every single thing about me, how I talked, what I said, what I did, and before that, I didn't even think about who I was or analyze who I was as a person. I just lived my life as being Bryce. But as he came along, he started critiquing a lot of things about me, and that gave me anxiety, because I felt like now I need to change how I talk and how I walk and how I act. And then from my own biological father, he didn't really like me being big, so he always says things about critique about my weight and what I was eating, and like he felt like I wasn't active enough, and then I was being active too much, and then so those are things that critique my those are things that triggered my anxiety. I never really had a female figure in my life put me down about who I am or what I did or what I said. It was really my stepfather, my biological father, that made me feel bad about being who I was.
Johnny?
Yeah, I think mine was more so about just being a failure. I think I took on at a very early age, trying to make sure that I am a success at everything that I did, because I was so nervous about being before. Okay, I'm gonna say statistic, but before I even know what statistic was, I was still nervous. I knew at a very early age who I liked it, who I wanted to be with, what I was attracted to. I knew that in kindergarten. And I knew that, but I knew that my family wouldn't accept that or didn't like that or wouldn't or things like that. So I always felt like I had to work harder to make sure that yes, I'm gay. I'm a gay boy, but I'm a smart gay boy. Yes, I'm a gay boy, but I can fight.
So you felt
Yes,
like you
I'm
had
a
to
gay boy, but
overcompensate
I
for
mean,
being gay.
I had to
I felt that
overcompensate
too.
for everything.
Yeah.
I felt like to make sure to prove that I'm worth, being
Mm-hmm.
me. And I think that's kind of where my anxiety stemmed from. But also, and there are pockets and moments that I realized that I'm just like my mom. Because the thing is, like, what I realized too about being alone and stuff like that is that, like, although I realized that I like my solitude, and I think that came from her. I think that because when I'm around people, like, I don't like to be around a lot of people. And in my mind when I was or in my mind when I wasn't around people, I felt like I needed to be around people to validate who I was especially inside the gay community. That gave me anxiety as well. I felt like I needed that, and I wanted that, and I wanted to be around people and things like that. I wanted to kind of be known. I kind of wanted to kind of be in that light, and that often gave me anxiety about, like, where I wanted to be in life and the person that I wanted to become. Um, and I think for me, after I had gave that up and realized everybody ain't on your level, first and foremost, to even be around you. Everybody don't have your same intellect to be around you. Most people don't. So I mean, I enjoy being able to sit in my own thoughts, because it is what it is what it is. And I think but before, as far as the alone part, and as far as because there are times where I've sat and I thought about, well, damn, I really don't got no friends. Not saying I don't have friends, that's not the case, but I don't. Sometimes I do feel like I don't have a good Judy that I can call and have a clique of people to go out to the club with and have a good time. I have never had that, and that has sometimes bothered me, especially watching my counterparts and watching people that I know, people that I have a good relationship with, and watching them inside of their own cliques. And I really never had one. That stuff like that bothered me at one point in time. But I think at once I realized, like, we don't have nothing to talk about. I can't talk about nothing with them. I can't leave nothing. I can't, like, walk away from a conversation learning something new with them, other than some gossip shit. Like, stuff like that kind of turned me off in regards to how I viewed wanting to have a click, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, let me ask a question. While we're talking about anxiety and the Black community, can any of y'all explain to me what mental health actually is?
Somebody clicked off.
Bryce can't hear us.
I'm trying to get to my.
Okay.
It's on this phone.
What's wrong with the phone?
I have the stuff that I wrote the copy the little thing down about the definition of mental health and everything of that sort, and then I was gonna take my perspective on it, but it's in this phone. I can't click off. I was gonna turn the video off.
While he's looking for me, and I'm just going to give you not the definition thing like that, but
right.
more so
I want to know that as what you think it is.
So for what mental health means to me, and Bryce is looking to channel it back again. What mental health means to me is it's the same as sexual health. It is the same as physical health. It is the same as all of that for me. I feel like in order for you to grow as a person, you have to, the same way you go and exercise because you want to change something about your body, the same way you want to wear a condom because you want to be protective of your sexual health, the same way you want to eat good to change, I think you have to have that same reservation for your mind. And for me, I look at it as if you want to exercise it, let's just like when we were in school and things like that, you exercising the education part of your brain, learning something and stretching it. You have to do the same thing in regards to stretching your mental health, in regards to how you feel about yourself. I don't think that stuff, at this point, I don't think that stuff is natural anymore. You have to stretch that. You have to make yourself get in that zone and actually do that. You have to start being aligning with yourself, and that stuff doesn't just come naturally. You have to learn that. Just like you learn everybody else, you have to learn yourself. Just like you learn how to do something, you have to learn yourself. And I think that all of that kind of compiles of what mental health looks like and what a good mental health is. And that's just what it means to me without looking up the definition and giving you the Webster definition of that.
Well, that's actually very good.
That's cool. You say the definition.
The actual definition is mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. That simple. But we also know that in the Black community, it's a problem. So let's talk about what makes it so difficult for people in our community to ask for help or to acknowledge that they need to ask for help. Now, we do have a couple of comments on the last question that I want to read out. When we were talking about when did you first go through your first cultural type of anxiety, Wink said growing up in Boston, he didn't really develop anxiety about race until he moved to the South as a young teenager. Well, I can dig that.
Yes.
Now, as far as why is it so difficult for the Black community, Kia Saint had a couple of really good comments. They said the community suppresses mental health because we're taught to be strong in a tough environment. I think it was an inheritance from our ancestors. Thoughts, comments, suggestions?
I think that I actually agree with that. I think that we have, like, we were. It's funny how the ancestor conversation comes up because there are times where, like, I felt like I should have failed, or I should have been somewhere that I wasn't, or I should have been this and should have been that. And my auntie said to me one time, she said to me, you were talked about, you were prayed about, you were thought about way before you even came into existence. And she was talking in the aspects of my ancestors, and she was saying that the way that you feel, or she said the way that the success that you think that you have and you're working for has already been ordained for you because your ancestors laid that out for you. And it was the way she said it to me, and I'm saying it very wrong. To where or I don't understand what I'm saying myself, but it was the way she said in regards to how we take on the we take on our ancestors like genetically or spiritually, like it's still passed down in a way. It ain't like she died 100 years ago and we just don't know who that person is. No, something has been passed along from generation to generation. Not just genetics, not just what's in our DNA, but also spiritually and mentally as well. There is a connection that is being made, and I think that that's where the whole we've been, we're tired, or that slogan that people say we're tired, and people don't understand you're tired of what, because you didn't go through the same thing that your ancestors went through. No, but spiritually we did, because we still feel that. We still are a part of that. So I think that that's kind of what that kind of looked like, and how that that ties in for me.
I was gonna branch in on the part about being taught to be tough. I feel like I don't know if everyone was taught to be tough. I feel like sometimes some people try to take away the fact of people having feelings, or actually being intact with their mental, and actually acknowledging it. It's hard sometimes being in a household with certain people or family members that may view a situation totally different than how you would view it, because they might not care, but you may care. So just being brought up to be tough is all based on, I guess the family. I wasn't taught to be tough. It was more so just like this: if it hurts, it hurts. If you want to cry, cry. If you feel some type of way about it, acknowledge it. If you want to talk about it, talk about it. That was the way that I was brought up. I wasn't really taught to be like to handle it in a way where I'm just let it just go and just don't even just. That's just not how it was. That's not how I was raised. I'm sorry. I can't say I was brought, because I wasn't raised to be like tough, like to be all hard. Like it just wasn't me.
I think for me it was a little different. I had a great aunt that was she had schizophrenia, and that was something that everybody in the family knew. We were very aware of. She was still around. So on one side, I had a diagnosed family member with a mental issue, but it really wasn't so much as discussed. Although I do have a couple of aunts who have, admitted to depression and done something about that, but most of them worked in social work. So they had a little bit of more exposure to that situation.
Right.
I also think that it also comes down to people feeling like if they need help, they are not mentally acute, or if they feel like they go to church and pray about it, these things will go away. And I think that has become a coping mechanism for most of the people in our community. Bryce? Oh no, I can't hear you. Yeah, his sound is out. It won't let him talk. That's awful. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it sounds good. There was another comment that Keo said that read, when it becomes obvious of mental health needed in our community, the existence of the resources such as mental health rehabilitation facilities were defunded. My anxiety was feeling whole and intimately secure. I wanted that unconditional gay love, and watching Noah's art did that. Coping with my anxiety. I was out looking for a way. I know that's right.
Okay.
I remember that. I think Noah's art fucked a lot of people up. It really did.
Yeah. No shade.
It really did.
You back, Brian? No.
I don't know.
He said no, he still can't hear. I think that if you're looking for something in your life, seeing other people achieve that, whether it be a relationship or camaraderie, can lead to almost kind of a not necessarily jealousy, but you just want that in your life. And watching somebody else achieve that can trigger some types of anxiety. I can wholeheartedly see that, especially with relationships and wanting to be in relationships. I think that comes and goes, kind of with being single and learning how to be by yourself. And I'm one of those weird people. I love being by myself. It's where I'm happiest at. People give me anxiety. I learned at a very young age in school because I was weird. People were mean to me, so I stopped liking people. Fuck it. I don't need any friends. I'm good. So I'm happy by myself because that's what I learned to do at an early age. Now, older, it's difficult to be social and just talk to people, especially that I don't know. I'm not interested. I got plenty of friends. I'm good.
So let me rectify something, because I've heard a couple, but like you and Johnny both say this about being the whole like alone thing. I want everybody to understand something while I'm on this live. I'm used to being by myself. That's why I said the whole thing, because I was always by myself. Since I was 15, I've been by myself. Like, I was in foster care and group homes. I was always secluded in a room, and I didn't want to come out, and I didn't want to be bothered with anybody, because I was trying to figure things out mentally for myself and why I was going through what I was going through, and while my family was watching me go through what I was going through. So I've been by myself numerous of times, and I'm okay with being by myself now. It's just that I'm so used to being by myself now that when somebody does come around, I really don't kind of give it. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship, friendship, whatever it is. I don't really give people the opportunity.
Thank you, Jen.
To get in and really get that part of me. I seclude myself. Like, I'm okay with being by myself. I get cursed out for not answering my phone, for not returning text messages, for not calling nobody back. I get cursed out about all that. And it's because I be wanting to be. Sometimes I literally need that mental. Like, I have to be by myself. I have to really logically think things through. Because when I start dissecting stuff, I'm the crazy person, and I'm overthinking things then, and then everybody's judging me, and it's like, oh, you're making a big scene about this. You're taking things personal, this, that, and the third. And it's more so of a logical thing for me, because it's like a standpoint where I try to put things in order. Like, why did this happen? Why did this person say that? Why did this go there? Instead of just letting it go like I should normally do, like everybody else does, which I'm going to start, I've started doing lately.
So you're saying one of your mental health issues is OCD? That's what we're saying?
I could say that, yeah. Oh yes.
And I also want to say because when I said about alone, there was something like you did, and I didn't want you to think that I was harping on something that you said to combat what you were saying. It was more so it triggered something in me, because that was something that I thought about, and I did go through as well. I remember feeling like that. I remember that feeling. I remember being in that townhouse, thinking those things or having those thoughts. I remember being in my condo, thinking those things and having those thoughts where, like, I have a whole condo. I'm staying here, 2-bedroom by myself, and I just want some fucking friends to come around me. I just want people. I just want to click to hang out with, things like that. And I watched myself transition to something that I wasn't to get that. And for me trying to transition to get that and trying to talk and have a conversation with them, the conversation wasn't conducive to what I wanted to talk about. I didn't like what was going on. I mean, it was just a lot for me that I just was like, but I don't want you to think that it was something that I said to combat what you were saying about being alone. It was more so it triggered a thought process that I remember feeling how I felt when that word came up, and things like that. That's all.
No, you got you.
So
I'll everybody now.
this explaining. All right. So tell me, why do you think I've noticed that a lot of millennials and Generation Z people are a lot more in touch with their mental attitudes, their mental health? Being triggered is a big word now. Why do you think that is?
I do feel like it had a lot to do with social media, first and foremost. I think that social media pushed mental health a lot. I think it's more in your face. And I also want to talk about, there was something that I think his name was Keo, if I'm not mistaken, said earlier. in regards to how mental health or how certain type of, so education was kind of withheld from us. So I think it took a while for us to kind of catch up to what mental health looked like in our community foremost. And we're not there yet. Not saying that we've completely caught up, because definitely we still got some more improvement to do. But I do feel like it took us a while to kind of understand that concept. It took the world a while to even understand what mental health was as a whole anyway. But then I think that we were still pushed back a lot because of how, education was withheld from us as well. So I think that.
Or your preacher telling you that all you had to do was pray about it.
And I still believe that, Patrice. I still believe that you got to pray.
But that's not going to help your your mental health. That's not working through the problem. That's not working through the issues. That's not how we solve anything.
Some people may feel that way about doing stuff like serene stuff, like burning sage and stuff. They don't feel like that stuff helps with their mental process either. But I feel like it works. I feel like
aromatherapy has been proven to work with science.
Sound, tranquility, all of that.
Everything don't have to have a science undertone to it. Sometimes, like your spirituality and your faith, sometimes all I need is the word of the Lord for me to be good. All I need is to talk to God and say, hey, this is happening, and that's it. Sometimes it's just that's it.
Showing personal relationship with Him. That's right, Johnny.
That's right. That's right.
Then you should never need to speak to a counselor, take any kind of antidepressants, anything, because you can talk to God. And I hope He's talking back.
Well,
He created man.
Well, I also what I also believe too is that if he created, I feel like if I'm talking to Him and He sends somebody my way, like a counselor for me to talk to, I feel like He used that vessel to get to me so that I can talk to those problems.
Yeah, Bryce, I'm gonna need you to turn your shit off and come back in this conversation, because I can't. That's just
it is what it is. That's how I feel about that. Sometimes God would use a vessel to get back to what you need, or to get you back. I told a teacher when she says, "Go get a boyfriend to help me." I said, "What? Oh wow."
I have a comment from Nadia. She says that she thinks all the mental health has really made a spike with the amount of trauma that we've seen in the last 10 years, as far as events that will trigger trauma or cause people to feel anxiety. I think that there is some, I think that 9/11 kind of kicked off a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
I 100% agree. I think that I do agree with that, Patrice.
I think that the fear and the panic that was ushered in with that event, and then the fear and the panic that was built on by the politics that was being used to get George Bush reelected, really became really prevalent.
Can Bryce?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Welcome back.
The show almost over anyway in 15 minutes. It don't matter.
You still got 22 minutes, boo.
No, I don't have an issue being alone. I wanted to be alone. I crave being alone. I felt like my family was smothering me, and they got on my nerves. I felt like they were embarrassing me in public. I felt like they would do dumb stuff. And I just felt there was really times when I was a young child and I was like, do I belong to y'all? Like y'all, like I wanted to be alone. So you guys are like, oh, I want family and I want friends and I want to be coddled. No, get away. Leave me alone. Like
that way.
When I want to be bothered with people, I invite them to bother me. What are you doing? Let's go out. Let's have fun. If I don't want to be bothered with you, I don't. I don't. True. So I feel like the reason why millennials, Generation Z, are more upfront about confronting mental health is because we are now being taught that it's not something that you should be ashamed of, and we also seeing the things that happen when mental health is not addressed.
I think we have seen a lot of that. I think especially with like the school shootings and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of brought more to the forefront. And And I think also too, it has to do with more Black people becoming educated. And I think the more educated you are in general, the more open you are to new information about health and quality of life.
And so I think people try to break the cycle of trauma too. But I'm not anti-religion either. I also think that maybe sometimes religion can be a good thing because it gives people a sense of optimism, and that optimism might encourage them to want to do better and actually seek more help. So I'm praying.
I completely understand why people are religious. I just don't think that it's the answer to real problems like health. I've had people with diabetes tell me they don't have to take medication because they God got them. My ass.
I had that too.
You won't have no fucking feet. Keep fucking around.
My stepfather said that he lost his foot. He said, God cured his dialysis. And I said, oh, girl, okay.
Those are the things I'm speaking of. That's to me is just taking it a little too far. And I completely understand why people are part of religion. You have the camaraderie, you have the sense of hope and justice. I get that. And if that works for you, that's amazing. But when it comes to like real health issues, I don't think that's the answer so much.
I also want to talk to people about also seeking therapy, but I do also know that therapy is expensive and free therapy is few and far in between. Also, I feel like people get turned off by it because therapy is not something that you do once and it's perfect. You have like the same way you try out different cars or you try out different shoes. You have to try out different therapists. You have to find the right therapist for you. You're not just going to go to one therapy session because the first therapy session I went to, she sucked. And I don't even know why she's a therapist. The second one I went to, she was okay, but it wasn't compatibility. And the third one I went to, it was good. So it's something that you have to find. But also we do have resources that are more affordable. Like we have peer support specialists. And peer support specialists are people who experience the same things that you have, but they have been trained to give you support to help you go through that trauma, go through that addiction. So I think those are also good, tools to utilize too.
But something you said earlier about 9/11 kind of catapulted the mental health advance in the Black community. I do agree with that. But there was this one movie that came out in 1994. And I don't know if you guys remember. It was called Out of the Darkness, and I think Diana Ross played in it. Y'all remember that movie?
I was born in 97.
Okay, I wasn't talking to you guys anyway. But so there was this movie, and it was called Out of the Darkness, and it was a big movie because it was one of the, I'm not gonna say it's one of the first. I'm not gonna create that narrative out here, but it was a good movie about mental health, and Diana Ross played a woman who had what's the S word? Give it to me, y'all, because I can't pronounce it.
What, schizophrenic?
Yes, thank you. She played a girl who had schizophrenic, and so the concept of the movie was this girl went to school. She was very much educated. Diana Ross character, and I think I want to say about 25, 26, she started having her episodes.
That's when it usually starts.
And it showed how her life changed drastically. She was an educated woman, had a good job, making money and things like that. And she lost everything. She had to move back in. She had to move back in with her mom, with her daughter. She already had a child at that time as well. And it just showed. I know it was a very extreme version because it's a movie.
Not really.
It may not have been. I don't know the levels to that and things like that, but it just showed a lot in regards to how much a person like that went through. That was my first introduction to what they look like. And I was a kid watching the movie, so of course there were some things that went over my head a little bit. But I do remember that movie, and I remember that movie. Dana Ross did a good job playing that movie, first and foremost. But If you haven't seen that movie, I would suggest you go check it out. It's a really good movie. 1994, and it's called Out of the Darkness. You probably be able to find it on YouTube. Because it's so old, but it was a really good movie. You should probably try to check that out as well. But that was one of the things that I said that to say. I think that we still had little blimps here and now to try to get people a little bit more educated about mental health, even back in the 90s. But again, it was at that time it was such a taboo conversation anyway. So
Sean?
Okay, so I guess for me, when it comes to the whole, are we saying about the millennials? Okay. I guess like talking to my cousin and them, like the ones that are like way younger than me, and trying to see where their mental process is at. I think a lot of times I really feel like judgment plays a big part in it, and they feel like once they hear
stigma is a real, that's the biggest issue.
And once they hear therapy, psychiatrist, or anything dealing with getting help, they automatically jump to, oh, they think I'm crazy. Yeah, I heard my cousin say, my cousin was talking to me. He was telling me that, and he was like, if I go talk to a therapist, they're gonna try to put me on medicine, and they're gonna think I'm crazy, and this and that. I said that's not what it's about. That's I don't know why they automatically jump to jump into medication, or either just jumping to thinking that somebody automatically is going to think you crazy because you may just want to you need to let something out. You need to talk about something.
And I think that's part of the stigma. I really do think that's part of the stigma. I also think that with millennials and Generation Zers, there were a lot of hip hop artists that had mental episodes. And I think that pushed a lot of stuff to the forefront for your generation as well. You know, you had Eric Sermon, you had Kid Cudi, you had all of those people who had attempted suicides,
right.
Kanye West. I mean, like really deep, serious mental issues that they chose to speak about in the public because they knew that the Black community did not address it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I also want to say too that I saw this other day on social media. I want to say too that your significant other is not your therapist, because I've seen a lot of times there's a lot of men who are looking for women to be their therapist. Your significant other is not here to fix the problems that you came to the table with. It's your job as your own individual person to fix your own trauma by yourself. The only thing that you two need to work on is the type of issues or problems that you guys could create together as a couple. But your significant other is not your therapy. It's not your therapist. If you have any pre-existing trauma, you need to fix that on your own, and that goes for both ways. I don't want to be a therapist.
I definitely agree with that. I remember as a kid, I had went through something very traumatic in my life, and I had to, and I started seeking therapy. I started seeing a therapist at the age of 13, and there was a segment that my therapist wanted to bring my mother in, right, and start doing therapy with us together, just things like that. And my mom didn't want to do it, and that stayed with me for a very long time, because I was willing to do the work. I kind of wanted to kind of fix our relationship as mother and son. My mom was pretty young, so we kind of grew up together, and I thank her for that privilege. We kind of grew up together, so I watched her. So she's always been my mom, and I respect her as a mom. But like, she's also been a big sister to me as well. In so many ways,
like your mom's sister when she had you young.
Yeah, and things like that. And ain't my mother, because she's been a good mom to me. But there was things mentally that that we kind of developed together and whatever. But anyway, make a long story short, I remember that she didn't want to do it, and I felt like at the time she felt like the therapist that would be questioning her as a mother, right, or that it'd be downing her, and things like that. So
she was being judged.
She would right. And I think a lot of people, that kind of brought light to a situation in regards to a lot of people do feel like whenever they go to a therapist or to see therapy, that there are things that's going to come up in conversation that they're not ready to talk about, or they're not ready to feel like judge, or they're not, what I'm saying, even if it's judging themselves, they're not ready to deal with that. And I do think that that's what hinders a lot of people from seeking out therapy or wanting to talk to somebody, because those are feelings that are about to come up or come out that you not sometimes you're not wanting to deal with, not knowing that in order to get better, you have to walk through that fire to get to the other side. Um,
For
so
me,
I
I think
remember
my
that.
issue. Oh,
Oh, it's
go ahead.
just a slight little part. My mother went to school later on in life for social work, um, and she's wanting to become a life coach slash therapist now. And it's so interesting to me that when I was a kid, you didn't want to do it, and now you're looking to work in that profession. So I thought that was just an interesting thing. And it showed
That
growth
shows a
on her
lot
part
of
as well,
growth.
because she's now. Yes, it did. Yep.
Yeah.
That shows a lot. For me, when it came to therapy and getting diagnosed, it was more problem than anything. I already didn't care what people thought. That ship sailed in elementary school. But my own pride and stubbornness that kept me from going to reach out to anyone, because I just didn't want to admit that I needed help. It was me thinking that, oh, I can handle it. I can deal with it. It's not that bad. I study psychology, so I know what it is and I know how to go around the situation. But in finding a good therapist, I was able to learn a lot about myself and why I was the way I was. And I sincerely believe that once you know what's wrong with you, then you can make the proper steps and have a happier life and be a better person and have a better quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing that I learned from just my mental health journey in general.
Agreed. Agreed. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we've kind of touched on is going to seek therapy when you're going through problems. But there are times where you don't have to. You can go seek therapy when you're having a good day or when everything's going good in your life to maintain that mental health. It don't necessarily have to be with, oh, something's going wrong, but life is over. About for you to seek therapy. No, you can. It's just like you go exercise. You don't wait to you having problems with your heart and your stomach before you go exercise. You go do that to maintain your weight, to maintain things like that, so you can still maintain your mental health even when you're having a good week, a good day, a good year, or whenever. You don't have to wait till something bad is happening for you to go out and seek therapy. I think that that's something that people don't register
Realize,
or don't come to realize as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And we did
I was
have a
going to
couple of.
say, oh, go ahead, Patrice.
Go ahead, Bryce.
Oh no, I was going to say, like, as a child, I never really asked permission how to feel. I just felt how I felt. But when I was a child, I used to cry a lot because I always felt like I was being dismissed and that my opinion wasn't being valued or like I wasn't being respected. So I cried. I used to cry a lot. I used to cry all the time until I was like 12. And then when I turned 13, I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm not about to cry over ignorant people no more. But it took time. It was hard. And it's really hard when you feel like you're living with people who always want you to respect them, but they don't respect you, and it hurts. And I just really had to get to the point to where I had to talk to my doctor myself about feeling sad, about having anxiety, because I really had to take it into my own hands. So people be like, "Oh, why are you so serious? Or why are you so mature?" Because it's like I had to emotionally, I had to raise myself because I didn't have nobody to raise me emotionally. And I had to take my emotions into my own hands because there wasn't nobody that was going to respect it or take care of it for me. I had to take care of it for myself. And I had to figure that out when I was 13. And for a
But
while,
that's breaking that generational trauma,
yeah.
though.
And I really, for a
Yeah.
while, I really did resent my parents. Like, I hated my parents when I was like 14 to 17. I hated them. I hated my mother. I hated my stepfather. And I hated my father. Like, I did not like them at all. But I started to respect my mother more and appreciate her more when I went to college and then I also had to understand how my parents were upbringing too. It doesn't excuse how they made me feel, but also all of my parents were piss poor. They didn't have any emotional support. They were raised on survival. So all they knew how to do was to take care and survive. There wasn't no, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. There wasn't no
Right.
respecting of their opinions. There was no value in their opinions. So they never learned to they never had that, so they never knew to give it. So once I
Right.
had to learn that and accept that for myself, I also had to understand, accept that there are sorries that I feel like I need, but I'm never going to get them because that's just not on the table for me. So I just have to persevere and just move forward. These past couple weeks have been the worst couple weeks of my life. Let's just keep it that way. And I just, I'm at the point where I just feel like, I'm just going to cry about it. It's over. It happened. Let's keep moving forward. And I don't give my time. I don't give myself time to heal from it. I'm just like, oh, put a Band-Aid, gotta go.
And you're ignoring it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just push it down deep and it'll be fine.
And it's not good. And I know it's not good. But that's just how I'm rolling now because I can't sit there and think about it.
And sometimes you need to take a break. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to turn your brain off and just be like, well, fuck it.
That's right.
I mean, that's just what it is. That's just what it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we did have some comments. Nadia was saying that, well, when we went back to not being able to access mental care, Jen did state that your ability to get help and to speak to somebody shouldn't be based on your bank account, which is, just like healthcare shouldn't be based on your bank account. But here we are. Nadia also said the support system is always a good thing. And Jen also said, having to take that moment to look deeply at yourself is scary. And it really does take a strong person to do it because that work is not easy.
It's painful.
Real work takes real time.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking and trying to figure out who you are as a person. And once you come to your senses about who you are and what it is that you want, a lot of times it's hard to express that and move forward with that, not knowing how others will, take it.
Perceive it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know for me, like, even just thinking about this whole mental health, this whole thing, like, I know that I want to go seek help and talk to a therapist. I know I don't mind talking to a therapist. Have I took the initiative to go actually look for a therapist? No. So this is the reason why. And it has nothing to do with anybody. I want to do it on my time when I'm ready.
And you have to.
And I had to come to senses with that because people presented it to me. And they asked me many a times, what do I need to do? What kind of help do you need? And you have to realize, don't do it when just because somebody's presenting it to you at that particular moment. If you're not mentally ready to go do it, don't do it. Don't do it.
I will disagree on that.
Else, you know what I mean? Don't do it for the sake of someone else. You're doing this for you. So again, like, I'm just saying this for me. I'm just being transparent about myself.
Yeah.
I got all my babies right here on live with me right now, and I'm telling this to everybody. Like, all of them know that I've asked for help with being a therapist. They've suggested me going to a therapist and everything. I just haven't took the initiative because I wasn't ready. But I'm getting to a point where I'm coming to attack with me. And it's taking some time. It's taking a couple days. There's some days where I cry, some days where I want to talk, some days when I want to be by myself. But I'm coming to a point now where I feel like, okay, I think I'm almost ready to just go and just lash and let it all out and be true and honest about it all. And just let it whatever happens from that point, it is what it is. At least I did try. You know what I mean? So...
Right.
So the only reason that I would disagree with you is because I was on that track and I ended up having a massive anxiety attack and my sister had to come and get me out of the corner of my closet one night because I was very much keeping it in, stuffing it down. But at the same time, with her being a counselor, she would always tell me, you need to go talk to somebody. Yes, you're handling it now, but it will come to a point. When my best friend died, I was not okay. And it took me a long time to get over the guilt of that situation. But that situation sent me into such a spiral that I didn't have a choice. I had to go, whether I wanted to go or not. And she had to take me because I was freaking the fuck out. So sometimes it's not about being ready. Sometimes it's about, you got to go. And that's the one thing that for me, I wish I would have listened to her because I wouldn't have had to go through that 6 months of real live just misery every time I open my eyes. Because that is not okay. When every time you open your eyes, you fall in a hole. That's not the life you want to live. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying when I say that.
Like for me, like when I'm going through something, like I don't want nobody to force nothing on me. I guess, and I get what you're saying.
Right.
I'm just saying for me, I don't want anybody, even if I was in a situation like you were, and I was in a corner, whatever the case may be, and I was crying and I need, if don't make me, because I'm going to rebel against it. That's with anything
Right.
anything that anybody try to push on me sometimes, if I don't have a proper understanding of it and I don't fully get it just yet, I'm going to rebel against it. That's just me. So
Patrice,
I'm not saying
that's that thing about motivation interviewing. When you have to present something and make it seem like it's his idea, you know what I'm saying? Or like you
Oh
have to talk
yeah.
it through
Oh,
with
I
him.
fully know that. I know. I know the drill. But
Yeah.
I was just expressing my particular how I was very much like that, and I just wanted to express, like I said, like you say, your transparency. That was my experience, and
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely agree with you saying, Sean, in regards to like, I don't feel I need it to be something that, don't push it on me. Or like, don't make it seem like it's something that I have to do at that particular moment because, now I feel like I'm doing it for you and not really for myself. So that makes sense. And I think that it all comes back to, a training that we did, at work about motivational interviewing and allowing clients to kind of come up with their own care plan, come up with their own goals, come up with their own, where, yes, we have in our mind what we want for that particular person, but we have to allow that person to kind of get there on their own.
on their own.
So yeah, so I think that was kind of that's kind of pretty much what you were saying though, in so many words. Um, I and I also believe in couples therapy. I stopped doing therapy for a while, but I got back into therapy a couple of months ago, and one of the things that I feel like that is so good about therapy is that it challenged you. It challenged me to do things that I didn't think that I was capable of doing. It challenged me to actually have that conversation with my mom that I did not want to have or I was too scared to have about how I felt as a kid, how it shaped my future, how it shaped who I am as a person. We cried. We stayed up for 5 hours. 5 hours having a conversation, and I would not have been able to do that had I not gone and seek therapy and to give me tools to kind of be able to talk through those conversations and not present it to where like you've been a bad mom all these years, like giving her validation, but always let her know how I felt, how you made me feel, and things like that. And so those are ways that it worked for me. It has worked and it has worked for me. It may not be something that me and my therapist talk about, but because I talk something out with my therapist, I'm able to go out into the world and have real conversations with people, and use those same tools. Even in my relationship, now I'm in couples therapy and things like that. And I feel like we may not go through, or even inside of the session, there may not be things that we kind of talk about in the session, but it create opportunity for us to go out and have conversations after the session and use tools that was given to us while we're in session to elongate the conversation and get more of a thing like. So I think all of that. I think sometimes I think Bryce and Patrice said it earlier, early on in the conversation. It don't take, or it's not going to be it may not be like a revelation or a epiphany inside of the session. It takes you doing the work outside of those sessions as well to kind of get your breakthrough. So,
agree.
But when it happens, it's amazing.
It is. It is amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It have you jumping through the house and everything. It's like a weight off your shoulder. And it's like you can breathe again. It's like it's so
It's just peace of mind, and peace of mind is priceless.
It is. It really is. It really is. It really is. It really is.
Well, you guys, it's 1 hour and 3 minutes, and since we came on 2 minutes late, that's a whole hour. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today to talk about mental health in the Black community and giving us a chance to share some of our stories and our experiences with it. And of course, we got to do our outros. We're gonna switch it up.
Before we do our outros, though, because I want to make sure that people know that we are still doing our focus groups. So please, 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 we want to hear from you. Be a part of the conversation. to talk about PrEP and getting PrEP out into the community. We are still doing these focus groups, so we need to hear from you guys and hear, what you think about PrEP. How can we make PrEP better? If you're not on PrEP. And we're also doing IDIs, which is in-depth interviews with individuals who are already on PrEP or have taken PrEP. If you want to know what worked for you, what don't work for you, so that we can create an intervention to help other people get on PrEP and feel more comfortable with PrEP. So we're looking to engage the Black community, the Black MSM, Black gay males, particular about PrEP and getting them on PrEP. So please, 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 please contact us. Give us a call, text us, email us, message us on Facebook. Do what you got to do. But we want to hear from you. Like, we want to hear from you guys. You are the expert, not us. We work in the field, but you are the expert. You are the community. We want to hear from the community, not from people, not from what we think we know, but from what the community actually think about. What are we going through? How is PrEP working for us? Is it not working for us? And let's do the bullshit. Like, we need to know these things. So please, 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 we want to hear from you.
Yes, it is recommended that you take it every day. If you miss more than 2 doses a week, it will mess with your coverage.
Yes. And maybe one day, maybe one day we can do a conversation about PrEP. I do think that question is a good question. And for me, it prompted another conversation about PrEP inside of our community and what we need to know. So Patrice will definitely lead that conversation because she is our PrEP case manager. So we'll have that on the docket sometime soon.
All righty. And Bryce, you are up, my love.
Hi, it's Cinnamon Spice from Big and Busty. No, my name is Bryce. I'm the parenting specialist at Rain, so you know what I do. I specialize in getting people back and re-engaged in their care. I case manage them for a year, and I give you all the tools that help you stay retained in your care. And along the way, I help you whatever crisis that come along the way. So if you need my services, or if you know someone that needs my services and you'd like to make a referral, please call the number down below. Also, we all do provide free HIV and Hep C testing. Please contact any one of us to get testing, and we do give out free condoms and lube. Because y'all know y'all need them condoms, so please use them.
They know, Bryce. They know.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness. All right, Rashawn, you are up, my love.
Hello, everybody. Well, y'all already know. It's your boy, Sean. I am the peer outreach specialist here with Rain and with Crew. I specialize in harm reduction as it relates to substance use. So, again, if you know anyone dealing with addiction or any type of substance use, please refer them over to me. Also, I'm out in the community educating and advocating about healthy, safe sex practices. And y'all already know. Bryce said it one time, and I'm going to say it again. I got condoms and lube for free, baby. Hit me up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrice. I am the prevention case manager, as we talked about earlier. Any questions that you may ever have about PrEP, any side effects, any lawsuits, all of the stuff that you've been hearing on social media, please feel free. You can inbox me. You can text me at this number. You really don't have to talk to me. It's cool. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if you're part of an organization or clubs with kids and you want somebody to talk to them about healthy sex practices, free to give me a call. I would be happy to have that conversation with them.
Thank you. First of all, hashtag spit is not lube. Hashtag spit is not lube. But one of the things that we also do, I think Patrice actually reads my mind in so many different ways, y'all. Because I was going to touch on that in regards to sometimes people don't really know how to have these conversations as it relates to sex inside of their own homes. We all are equipped to kind of go out and do that as well. Break the ice. We've been able to kind of bring people in our office and have and be that mediator that can kind of help guide those conversations as it relates to healthy sex, and or relationships. We kind of fit the whole bracket in regards to holistic care as it relates to, sexual health. So just hit us up at any time, any place, we're ready. So thank you for joining us.
And if you need Plan B, let me know. I got plenty for free. Okay. You guys have a great night, and thanks again for checking us out. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.